Are you ready for some cinnamon rolls? I'm gonna show you in this video from start to finish how to make the dough, the filling, and this amazing Copy-cat Cinna-bon icing. It's gonna be delicious. Hey everyone, Lauren Kadlowik here with my favorite boys, Gavin and Andrew. Guys, what are we gonna make today?
Cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls. Do you like cinnamon rolls, Andrew?
Yeah.
We love cinnamon rolls in our house. So I have gotten frozen cinnamon rolls. I've made my own cinnamon rolls. Sometimes I get them pre-made at the bakery at Walmart. They're really good. I haven't been able to find them, so we're gonna make our own, which we've done a couple times before. So as I go through this recipe, I'm going to talk to you about some highlights about making bread dough and about how you can turn this particular recipe into a really awesome bread dough recipe too. But we are gonna use the dough for making our cinnamon roll dough. So you guys ready to help?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so our recipe starts with 2 cups of warm milk. You want it to be about the temperature of your shower or your bath water, not too hot because it'll kill your yeast, but not too cold because then it won't allow your yeast to bloom. So we're gonna put in there 2 packets worth of yeast. Andy, do you wanna give that a stir with your little mini whisk there? And to that, we're also going to add a 1/2 cup. You wanna add that? There you go, let's move this out of the way. Can you pour it in?
This?
Pour it in there, that's sugar. 1/2 cup of white sugar. You wanna pour that in there? Gavin always has to take a taste of the sugar. Keep mixing. So with our yeast, 2 packages of yeast. Okay, go ahead, okay. These are what I'm talking about with packages of yeast. You can do the quick rise or the rapid rise yeast, the active dry yeast. Any of those work in this recipe well. If you're not using the packages of yeast, each package is worth 2 1/4 teaspoons. So this one is 2 packages worth. So if you have like a little jar or a container of yeast, you can use that. I used a total of 4 1/2 teaspoons in this recipe here. Are you waving today? You got your fans out there? Fans watching? So I like to take a little mini whisk and whisk all of that yeast in there. Sugar will help your yeast bloom. Salt can sometimes kill your yeast, so I don't like to add my salt to my blooming yeast. So I like to get that nice and mixed in there with my little mini whisk. You can use water in this recipe in place of the milk if you want to, but it's not gonna taste as rich, so I like the milk for the richness. The warm milk also allows the sugar to dissolve really well in the
We have a tractor.
We do have a tractor, which if you haven't watched a video, you will know now that my sons are obsessed with tractors, aren't you? Tractors and snacks.
No, so orange is my favorite.
Orange is his favorite color. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes. What you're looking for is foaminess. Oh, I'm talking, buddy. Go listen, okay? I'm talking. We're looking for foaminess on the top of our milk, and that tells us that the yeast is fully bloomed and ready to use. So I'm gonna set that aside, and we're gonna talk about some of our other ingredients while our yeast is blooming. So we have 2 different types of flour. Gavin, are you ready to be my flour mixer? No? He's gonna eat the sugar? Oh, you are, okay. All right, Gavin's gonna be the first mixer. I have in here 3 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 1/2 cups of whole wheat flour. You can do all whole wheat, you can do all white flour. Either is fine, but you need a total of 7 cups for the initial dough, and then you'll need more for working into the dough as it needs. So, Gavin, can you stir that in a stirring motion for me to get all those flours nice and combined? And then Andy, you can be a stirrer as well. All right, so this is what your foamy yeast looks like. It looks like a big layer of foam up at the top. If it doesn't look like this, you got a problem. Either your yeast is old, if it's past the expiration date, it won't foam up for you or bloom, or it's possible that your water was too hot or your milk was too hot, or it wasn't warm enough. So shower water is key here. That's what you want that to look like. My fearless friends have left me. They may return for their juice cups. I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna continue on with my cinnamon rolls. My yeast is bloomed, it's nice and foamy. So now it's time to add this into our mixer. If you do not have a stand mixer, you can do this all by hand in a nice big bowl. So you can essentially follow the same steps, but with a wooden spoon, it just takes a little bit longer, get you better biceps, but this is a little bit faster and easier. So we are going to dump our yeast mixture into, ooh, a little spillage there. That's okay. I'll clean that up later. Yeast mixture into the mixer. And then to that, we are going to add, it is sunny, it's finally sunny today. Our 2 beaten eggs are gonna go in. Our 2 tablespoons of melted butter. You can use shortening for that as well. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. Remember, don't add your salt directly to your yeast. Sometimes that will kill your yeast. And I'm gonna give that a stir. So I have 2 paddles that I'm using for the mixing part of this, the normal U-shaped paddle, and then I'll be switching to the dough hook for the kneading process. Gavin's behind my camera there. All right, I'm gonna put in about half of my flour mixture. And I will mix that in with that U-shaped paddle attachment. So I am going to add in the majority of the remainder of my flour. I like to save about a half a cup or so for the kneading portion if I need it. Depending on humidity, depending on the weather, depending on the environment in your house, you may need more or less flour. If it is a really dry dough, you've probably added too much flour. The 7 cups that you're gonna add is gonna be fine. So I guess it's more along the lines of you may need more flour than what I'm using here. So I'm not sure if you guys can see in here. I'll show you here. This is what we're looking at here. That definitely needs more flour, so I'm probably gonna add definitely that extra half a cup of flour here. And once you notice your dough coming together in a big ball, and you see how my mixer is kind of like lifting up, you can put the lock on your mixer if you want to. We've now reached a point where we want to switch to this dough hook here. So I'm going to take a minute and switch that off, and I'll show you what to do from here. All right, so I scraped down the sides of my bowl. I added an additional half a cup of flour, and I put that dough hook on. You're going to knead, this is essentially the kneading process. So we want that dough to knead for 5 to 8 minutes. You can add additional flour if you want to, but the key thing that you're looking for is your dough sticking to the sides of the bowl? And as you can see, I do not have any stickage. I do actually have some bits on the bottom that'll probably get moved into that dough there as it mixes and kneads. Don't add any more flour if it's not sticking to the side. So right now I'm up to 7.5 cups of flour total, and I don't think that I'm gonna need any more after that. We kneaded the dough in the mixer for roughly 7 minutes, and I'm gonna take it out, and I'm gonna show you the kneading procedure. This really doesn't need a whole lot more kneading, but what you're gonna do if you were kneading by hand is kind of flour your clean countertop and put your dough out. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold over and then press your dough with the heel of your hand. Turn it 90 degrees, fold it over, press with the heel of your hand. Turn, press, turn, press, turn, press. And you're gonna continue doing that until your dough is smooth. It has no lumps. I like to say that it's as smooth as a baby's bottom. So that's where you wanna be. And again, if you're kneading by hand, it's still gonna take you roughly 5 to 8 minutes to get to this smooth part. Now, a couple notes about bread. You can use this dough for bread. What you would do is follow the same rising procedure, and then you would put it into loaf pans. We're gonna use it for cinnamon rolls, obviously. So we're not gonna be putting it into loaf pans. So if you were doing bread, you would do this initial rising procedure, just as you see happening here. So what I'm gonna do, and that is nice and smooth, perfect there, don't need any more flour. I'm gonna take my cooking spray and spray the inside of the bowl that I mixed it in. Why dirty another bowl when you can use this one? pop that in there. Take plastic wrap or a tea towel and put that over. That kind of holds all the heat in there and allows it to rise. So we're gonna cover that and then we're gonna let that sit for about an hour to an hour and a half until the dough is doubled in size. We're back with our doubled in size dough. And I have my dough puncher, Gavin. Okay, Gavin, here's what I want you to do. Let's roll up your sleeve.
What?
Punch that dough down. Punch it. Punch it. No, you gotta give it a punch. Punch it. Punch it hard. Whoa. And all the air comes right out of your dough. Punch it.
Punch it.
Punch it. Okay, good job. So we're gonna pop our dough. Yes, we are gonna roll it. So we're gonna pop out our dough, but not all of it. We're gonna do half of it. So this makes for 2 13x9 pans of our cinnamon rolls. Hey, watch, I'm coming in with my bench scraper there. I'm gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna show you how to fill 1 pan's worth of cinnamon rolls, and then I'll do the rest at another time. But we're gonna show you what to do with this pan. So excuse me, do you wanna roll up your other sleeve? We're gonna get a little bit messy here. Are you ready? Okay, so our goal is to create a roughly like 16 by 20 inch rectangle. So can I see this, buddy? I have to put some flour under here first. I like to give a little layer of flour just to prevent sticking. Sometimes as it rises, it'll create a little bit of moisture, and we don't want stuff sticking to the counter, especially not once we get it filled. So I will show you, buddy, and then you can give it a try. So I like to go in a north, south, east, west direction. So you're most likely to get an even rectangle. And the rectangle is gonna allow for us to fill all parts of that cinnamon roll evenly with butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon. All right, you wanna give it a roll there, buddy?
We stay down.
Stay down there.
Stay
Stay down. All right, Andy's turn. Let Andy take a turn. Okay, Andy, you gonna move over here? Okay. Can you roll it? 2 hands, 1 hand there, 1 hand there. Roll it. Put some flour up there to prevent some sticking. There you go. Andy, roll up your sleeves. Roll up your sleeves. Show off your puppy Band-Aids. The Band-Aids actually don't cover any injuries. They just are for show. Okay, so we have here, we're gonna use this one right here, buddy. That one's for the next batch. So we have 1 stick of butter, and while this is a very fun process, the cinnamon rolls are delicious, it is not a clean process. All right, Andy, are you ready? Can you spread out that butter with your hand? Gavin, are you ready to spread?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need you to very gently spread the butter. Here, spread it on the dough. Can you press it out like this?
I do.
Press it? No, you have to use your hands. You have to use your hands. No? No, you can't do that because it'll mash it and it'll keep it all stuck to that rolling pin there. So I'm gonna take a hunk. See how I have a hunk here? You're gonna spread it out. There you go, Andy, good job. Andy's spreading it out. You wanna get it to all ends of that cinnamon roll dough. Don't think of it as a pizza where you leave an edge for a crust, because you want all parts of that cinnamon roll to get a lot of yummy butter. Now, I used a cup of butter or 1 stick of butter. You do not have to use that much if you don't want to, but I think that it makes for some really amazing flavor and allows that brown sugar and cinnamon to create an awesome filling, everything to stick nice and good. Good job, Andy. Time to top our butter with brown sugar. My boys each have their own little special bowl, and what you want to do is sprinkle that brown sugar nice and evenly, or eat it along the way like they are. Andy, can you grab some and sprinkle it on your side? You want to give that dough, the butter covered dough, a nice even sprinkling. We are not the most sanitary cooks in this house here. I can say that I do wash my hands and don't put my mouth on things, but to be expected with little ones that are making some food with you. I always warn that of people. Not germ-free, not COVID-friendly.
And there's a coronavirus.
There is the coronavirus, yes. And that's why we're staying at home, doing all this fun stuff at home. What you doing? Here, right here. Here, I put a little more in your bowl, okay? I'm gonna say this is about 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar that is gonna go in. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. We're gonna get that spread out all around our butter. So again, you have a nice even layer. All the dough is covered with butter and brown sugar evenly. Oh, Gavin. Oh my. Okay. Scoop that up. Get that in little edges that you missed. All right, coming in with our cinnamon. I'm gonna say that you're gonna use about 2 tablespoons. I know that sounds like a lot, but gives the good cinnamon flavor. We're gonna do about 2 tablespoons. You wanna give it a little shake there, buddy? It's gonna, oh buddy, okay, that's enough brown sugar. Okay. Do you wanna try some cinnamon? Can you shake some cinnamon on there? Shake it on there. Okay. You wanna give the whole dough a nice even coat. What does it smell like?
Yeah.
Good?
It smells like some kind of pumpkin.
Smells like pumpkin, yeah. It kind of does smell like pumpkin spice. I usually just take my cinnamon container and just shake it all over until the surface of my dough is completely brown and covered with cinnamon. So, all right, so the munchkins have left me. The brown sugar part is over, so they want nothing to do with it. So I'm gonna show you how to roll this up by myself. So, what you want to do is start at an end. You don't want to roll it too tight or it almost has trouble expanding and rising. So you just want to roll it nice and gentle over each other, over those dough pieces and layers of butter and brown sugar and cinnamon. So delicious. And again, this is going to be 1 13x9 pan. And remember that bench scraper I used to cut that dough? This is a really great tool to cut your cinnamon rolls into pieces. So I like to cut it in half and try to get the same amount of cinnamon rolls out of this side as I do with this side. So I'm gonna cut it in half again, cut each one of those into 4 even parts, and each one of these is gonna give you 3 cinnamon rolls. So if you break it up into 4 and then break each part up into 3, that's gonna ensure that you get even sized, equal cinnamon rolls, and you get 12, which will fit really nicely in your pan here. So you're gonna give those a cut. And then take out your 13x9 pan, which I have sprayed already with cooking spray, and you can put those 3 to a row across your pan, just like that. Look how good those look. These are gonna plump up as we let them rise again. Oh, I somehow ended up with an extra one. Nobody ever complained about an extra cinnamon roll, so we'll stick that guy in there. So we are going to cover this with a kitchen towel and let that rise again until the cinnamon rolls are about the size that you want them to be. I'm gonna say about an hour to an hour and a half. Quick note about freezer cinnamon rolls. So I took the second batch of cinnamon rolls and I cut those up and I put them on a sheet pan, a little rimmed baking sheet with parchment paper underneath. I'm gonna stick these in the freezer and freeze them solid. And then what I can do is put them into a gallon bag, keep them in the freezer for up to 3 months, take them out and put them into a 13x9 pan like this, let them rise in the refrigerator overnight, and then they will be ready for you to bake in the morning. So our cinnamon rolls are doubled in size, roughly. Just got them into the oven here, 350 degrees. I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes and then add a few more if needed. All right, so our cinnamon rolls are in the oven. This is the best time to get that icing made that's going to go on top of your rolls once they come out. So we are going to be making a double batch of the icing from the original recipe because I'm making 2 trays of cinnamon rolls. Now, if you choose to freeze some, you can also put some of this icing into a quart-sized freezer bag and freeze that with your frozen cinnamon rolls. So you can go ahead and de-thaw that whenever you want to go and bake those up. So in case you want to cut the recipe in half and just do 1 tray cinnamon rolls, you would cut these ingredients in half as well. So I'm doing 2 sticks of room temperature butter. a 1/2 cup or 4 ounces of cream cheese. You want to make sure that these are softened or at room temperature. Otherwise, your cream cheese kind of ends up in balls and doesn't mix up really nicely. So I'm going to get those 2 things going for a few seconds there. Just kind of let those mix together on their own. Do a high speed there. And then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just kind of gives some contrast to that sweetness. And mix that in on high speed. And then we're gonna add our powdered sugar. Roughly 3 cups of powdered sugar. And once you get your butter and your cream cheese creamed together with the salt and the vanilla, you wanna make sure that you turn this down to a slow setting to add in your powdered sugar 1 cup at a time. If you keep it on high speed, you try to add your powdered sugar like that, you're gonna have a snowfall everywhere around your head. So you wanna ease that in nice and slowly. So we're gonna do 3 cups of powdered sugar. And once you have all of your powdered sugar in there, then I like to take my spatula, scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then give it one last mix to make sure that everything is nice and combined. Then we'll use that on our hot cinnamon rolls. I like to lob on little dollops of icing and just spread those on like that. Delicious. Oh, we are here with some bites for Andy. And I already had some, but I'm gonna finish my one that I started in this little bin here. Gavin, are you sure you don't want to try some right now?
The Cardinals are back.
The Cardinals are back. Oh man. Cardinals and cinnamon rolls.
And the Cardinals are back.
Wow. What do you think, Andy? Andy has been thinking about cinnamon rolls all day long. Are they good? How is it? He loves it so much, he can't even give us an answer. Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you love it? Yeah. We hope you try these cinnamon rolls. Stay healthy and safe, everyone.